Oh, hello. What's that? You want to know what it's like to see a UFO? Okay. Turns out I know what it's like. Hold on, I just went to the store just a sec. Okay, so you know how the planes just kind of blend into one another? Like West Kansas and Eastern Colorado. Like, you don't know you're in a different state. It's just the plains. Same thing for West Texas and Eastern New Mexico. And honestly, is there a more overlooked, least discussed, less discussed, fewer discussed place than Eastern New Mexico? You don't hear a lot of people say, oh, like Eastern New Mexico. There's not country songs. West Texas is like 60 country songs. I died in West Texas, kept on living. New Mexico, not a lot of love. And that's where we were this night in 1994. I think it was spring break 1994. It's an interesting point in my life. Like, I'd dove into college to play football and live that experience. And after that fizzled out, I just was like, I guess I'll drink. And then I ran into this guy, Todd Calvert. Not much of a drinker, more of a poet guy, creative guy. It was cool hanging out with this guy. And he was from Texas, and I'd not met anyone like this guy from Texas. There was no accent, and he defended Texas, but not in like the whole Lone Star gonna pull out a shotgun and share with you just exactly my sensations about Houston. And so he told stories that made me want to go to Texas, because I'd only seen West Texas, and he was like, no, Texas is more than just West Texas. And I was like, can you eat a giant steak where you are, get a t-shirt? And he told me about the hill country and rivers, and I was intrigued. So, spring break 94, we decided we're going to Texas. We're going to go down to where he's from. Down near, oh, forgive me. Oh, I got the names on my tip of my tongue. It's hill country. It's, Monty Montgomery was a guitar player at that one bar. Very talented. He played Pinball Wizard. Of course, right off the top of my head, Kerrville, a wonderful place in Texas. And Todd and his family were from Hunt, near the Guadalupe River. So clear as day. So we all head down. Oh, and I forgot one other I forgot two people that were with us. Hiroshi Okui, who I last heard was living in a trailer as part of a Y2K cult to survive out the disaster of the turn of the millennium. I haven't seen him. I mean, it was like a couple of years before that. He's with us. And this woman, Elizabeth, who, I don't know how, but she needed a ride to Texas. And so we were like, yeah, come on in. And everything was good. I mean, road trip down there, my little stinky Mercury Tracer, Eastern New Mexico, daytime, not scary. Right into Texas down there. Had a good time, spent a few days down there. Coming back, pick up Elizabeth. Got Hiroshi with us, me, Todd. And it was like 1 a.m. And we're in Eastern New Mexico. And no one is around. I mean, no one. I grew up on roads with no one around. And this was a no one around. Like, I grew up where like people would perish because at night they think they could camp on what, they're like, well, this is a nice, flat, desolate spot. But it was the highway. And this was that road. And we are driving and it's just dark. Like, if you turned off your headlights, you didn't exist. And we're driving and trying to find radio. Nothing's going on. Conversation's worn out. We're all getting a little tired of each other. Elizabeth kind of had some nasal stuff going on, like a lot of snorting. And I think Hiroshi was sleeping. Todd was in his zone, driving. Nothing as far as the eye could see. Until I could see something. It's like, what is that? And you know when your brain just latches hold of a thing? It's like, that's it. There's nothing else. This is probably a guy thing more than anything else, but nope, I'm certain of it. And so my brain, maybe just the darkness, the desolation, the drinking, but the brain had just said, I think I know what that is. Because why not? Eastern New Mexico is where people see unidentified flying objects. That's where they get sucked up into the machine and probed, and then they get dropped back, and nobody believes them because no one was around. Of course not. And so I could see it, and as we got closer, it's like, son of a gun. And nobody else has got their brain is doing this for them. They're all just like either sleeping or spacing out. But me, I mean, like you know how we use like 3% of our brain, you know, more and more my brain starts to chime in like, we agree, it's a UFO. Like all parts of my brain, physical part, crazy part, frontal lobe, still developing, that, everything's just like, yep, we're all in. It's a potluck of consensus. And my heart rate starts getting going because as we get closer and closer, I can clearly see this could be but one thing, a UFO. And I had recently seen a documentary, and it was about a triangle of lights. And I didn't grow up with like TV and stuff, so I mean, there's some things I took pretty seriously. And it was this UFO documentary about I slept with my friend's parents, and that's a whole other story because I got so scared of Friday the 13th. All the other kids at his 12th birthday slumber party, they just fell asleep knowing it was like a movie. But I was like, I don't know, that seemed pretty real, and so that was a kind of a shot to my reputation, But so I had seen this documentary, and it was about this triangle of lights, and it was pretty fresh in my head. And so as these lights get closer, I notice there's it's a triangle of lights, and I can't. Why am I giggling now? I don't know, because it's coming back. The fear, the excitement, the energy, the terror with which I would rot upon my 3 car mates, all coming back. And no one's around. No one. I mean, miles either direction. And Todd's just like looking ahead. And I'm like, Todd, look at that. He's like, huh, what is that? I was like, I don't know. I think it's a triangle. And I was more emotional than that. I was like, I think it's a triangle. And he's like, the triangle. It was a triangle of lights. I just seen this documentary. So the math was documentary plus actual triangle of lights, New Mexico desert, plus equals third encounter of a weird kind or whatever. So I was ready to break out my church organ and start, playing him a tune and see if they talk. And so it started calmly. I would say it started calmly as Todd drove. He's like, yeah, it's a triangle of lights. How he was so calm, I don't know. But and Elizabeth's starting to wake up. She's like, what? And I'm losing myself. Like the part of me that's me is coming out of my body. And because the triangle's getting closer. And you can't see anything because it's so dark. And all you can see is the triangle of lights. And I'm like, Todd! And he's like, what? And he's like, it's the triangle of lights. And we are right under the triangle of lights. I'm like, holy God, how come? Hiroshi wakes up. He's scared. He's used to me getting hyper. And Todd is like, I can do anything for anyone. If it's a scary situation, I can make you more scared of me than the situation. Grizzly bears, Yetis, Loch Ness Monster, triangle of lights. You'll be like, okay, whatever. Are you okay? And so Todd is just like slumping in his seat because I'm yelling at him. I'm like, God, pull the goddamn car over. And you really can't pull over. There's really not much of a shoulder. So we just stop in the middle, which is completely fine. I think perhaps legal in eastern New Mexico because no one is coming. And we stop. And I'm like, where's the camera? Where's the freaking camera? Now, nowadays, we have cameras like this one I'm holding in my left hand and torturing you with this story. And we had nothing, and Elizabeth is like, I think I have a disposable camera that's in my backpack, and I'm like, where is it? And she's like just waking up, and so she's not to the hatchback of the Mercury Tracer as fast as I'd like her to be. So I just get in her stuff, and I throw open the hatchback. Hiroshi just wanders off into the ditch. Like he, I think, realizes, he was a Y2K culter later on in life, and I think this might have been something that would have helped us foresee this, because he just starts walking under the triangle. Gets out of the car, through the bar ditch. He's trying to climb a fence. He wants to get under the triangle. He wants to go away. And Todd is like, Jared, what? I'm like, get that Jared. And so I rip out this woman. I don't even really know this woman. We're just giving her a ride from her boyfriend's. I rip out her backpack. I can't find her backpack. And then I'm just in her luggage. I'm like throwing her laundry. Where's the camera? It's the triangle. It's the goddamn triangle. And like, you know, when no one's on your level, it's kind of upsetting that they're not on your level. Not only for you, but for them. So Todd starts wandering into the ditch too. And he's looking, and he's like, Jared. I'm like, no, it's a fucking triangle. And he's like, Jared. And so he goes back to the car, and he starts flashing the lights. I'm like, yes, talk to it. Talk to the triangle. I'm so proud of Todd at this point because he's on my page, and he's talking to the triangle. And I'm waiting for it to flash back, and Todd turns off the lights again. He's like, no, Jared. I'm like, what? And Elizabeth is like, picking up underwear and all these personal items that I've thrown all over the road. Like, I wish someone could have drove up upon us, and we would have been the most exciting thing they'd seen in 200 miles. And Todd is like, no, Jared, look at this. And when you turned out the lights, you could see what you couldn't see with our headlights on. And that was the tower that held up the triangle of lights. There was a very clear support structure holding up the triangle of lights. It was just like the documentary I saw. And then it was so sad because I was there. I was in it. I was on the swirling tractor beam, the vortex of alien abduction, feeling exactly what it feels like to see a UFO. And I know it. And now everyone around me knows what it feels like when I see a UFO. And it's intense, but I am there and I'm adrenalized and my body's preparing itself to be awesome in battle or love or whatever I need to do with these Martian beings. And Elizabeth was like, I want to ride somewhere else, somehow else. There was no other conveyance for her, so she had to get back in the car. I was like, just shot it, and I stuffed stuff in her bag, and she's probably a victim of a crime at this point. Hiroshi, saddened, gets back in the vehicle. Todd gets back in, gathers himself at the wheel, and then they had to tolerate me dealing with the aftermath, which was thinking that anything else I saw might be a UFO. For like the next 150 miles, I was pretty excited that it's out there because I felt it. Damn it. Triangle.